Chapter 19. Jesus sentenced to death. Then Pilate had Jesus flogged with a lead-tipped whip. The soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put a purple robe on him.
"Hail, King of the Jews!"
they mocked as they slapped him across the face. Pilate went outside again and said to the people,
"I'm going to bring him out to you now, but understand clearly that I find him not guilty."
Then Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said,
"Look, here is the man."
When they saw him, the leading priests and temple guards began shouting,
"Crucify him! Crucify him!"
"Take him yourselves and crucify him,"
Pilate said.
"I find him not guilty."
The Jewish leaders replied,
"By our law, he ought to die because he called himself the Son of God."
When Pilate heard this, he was more frightened than ever. He took Jesus back into the headquarters again and asked him,
"Where are you from?"
But Jesus gave no answer.
"Why don't you talk to me?"
Pilate demanded.
"Don't you realize that I have the power to release you or crucify you?"
Then Jesus said, "You would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin." Then Pilate tried to release him, but the Jewish leaders shouted,
"If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who declares himself a king is a rebel against Caesar."
When they said this, Pilate brought Jesus out to them again. Then Pilate sat down on the judgment seat on the platform that is called the Stone Pavement, in Hebrew, Gabbatha. It was now about noon on the day of preparation for the Passover. And Pilate said to the people,
"Look, here is your king."
"Away with him!
They yelled.
Away with him! Crucify him!"
"What? Crucify your king?"
Pilate asked.
"We have no king but Caesar,"
The leading priests shouted back. Then Pilate turned Jesus over to them to be crucified. The crucifixion. So they took Jesus away. Carrying the cross by himself, he went to the place called Place of the Skull, in Hebrew, Golgotha. There they nailed him to the cross. 2 others were crucified with him, one on either side with Jesus between them. And Pilate posted a sign over him that read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." The place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and the sign was written in Hebrew, Latin, and Greek, so that many people could read it. Then the leading priests objected and said to Pilate, "Change it from the King of the Jews to, 'He said, I am King of the Jews.'" Pilate replied, "No, what I have written